welcome to everyone. I hope you had a great Christmas and a happy, well, not too happy a new year, just a happy new year, okay? Okay? Just a happy new year. And I want to kind of start tonight how these meetings work. The people that put them on know that it doesn't happen because of me. And every time you see a speaker, it's because Joe or somebody else, I believe it's John, dug one up for us. It's not me. It's not Mike. So Joe has been doing, Joe's the one that got me involved in this group. But if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have people, or John. So that's what it is. And if it wasn't for Mike, I wouldn't know what I was supposed to do. Mike and I are a real good mix. He does everything, and I speak. And then there's another Mike that is just nothing but a pain. And then there's Alvin. But it takes a lot to put these meetings together. And thanks to Smitty, we found the heat button. There's a lot of gorgeous people in this group, and I thank you all for coming. It's absolutely awesome. Oh, everybody got rid of all their money? Did everybody pay up? Dues. Okay? $25. Start of the year. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Rockler card. That if you show a card that they give you, that Alvin gives you, you'll get 10% off. State Fair is coming up, and we need people.
What we do at the State Fair is become docents. Okay, that's kind of knowledgeable people.
Did you say nuisance or docents?
Docents, docents, please. We can't insult people and ask them to do stuff. We're responsible this year for Sunday, February 9th and Monday, February 10th. There's like 3-4 hour shifts on each of those days, Monday afternoon and evening. And as many people as we can get there would be fine. What we get in return is tickets to the fair. It's really quite good. Yep, two tickets. Two tickets per person. That gets confusing if the husband and wife go, but so I'm here to start signing people up, but need to do it pretty quickly because the fair's coming up and they need to get those tickets out to us. So like this week, next week, maybe a little of the following week. And my name's John Derevick, and you can call me from the information on. Better to email from the information on the club's website, or sign up today.
I enjoy it. I've been going up there for about 3 years in a row. I enjoy it. Get to walk around and see things, see all the different stuff. It doesn't cost me anything to get in. Just I take a buddy with me. He's kind of a pain in the rear, but you know I take him with me anyway. So you know I won't mention any names. Oh, April 6th is 2 Before Contest, the picnic. Okay? Same place, same time, same everything. Okay? Same venue. And next year's Christmas party, same place, same venue, same everything. Okay?
Yep. Thank you, sir. Just wanted to go over a few things that we're changing this year. And one, for the 50-50 raffle, the board seeded it with $50. So the winning for today, the first day, will be over $100. So we seeded some money from last year's earnings. So it's a good start to the year. Last year it took until November for somebody to win. So the person that won over $400. And then there was a winner of $5 and a winner of $10 during the year. So it's just a nice little thing. And maybe you'll win tonight. Maybe you'll go again. And again, remember, your name stays in until somebody wins the big pot. But we like you to buy more tickets every month, okay? lots more. For the raffle, this is a $200 Craig jig tonight. So we'd really like to get somebody throwing money in there because we had to pay a little bit for that jig. It wasn't donated free. So we'd like to get people to really put in the money for the raffle on that. One of the other things that we're doing that's new is what we call a scholarship. And I've got papers here for anyone that wants to look at it. But it was something that Tom Falcone told me about, did a few years ago, where the club sponsors somebody getting training. For this year, we're going to go up to $750. So anyone that's been a member for a year is eligible. And it's one scholarship for 2025. The plan is to keep doing it every year, as long as we have enough bodies and enough money to keep doing it every year. So that is any kind of training that you want to do. It can even be online training, but we need proof of training. And the obligation that the member has is the member has to come after they're finished with the training and make a presentation to share that learning with them. The idea is, of course, you get your own knowledge, but we want you to share it with the club. We want to learn what you learned without paying the tuition, okay? So that right now, there's rules over here and there's an application over here. There is no deadline per se, but the club member will submit the application, then the board will select one person. Right now, I'm targeting that the first round of selection will be March. So if you want to take a look, it doesn't matter if the class isn't until October. We just need to get it in here so we can get it on the calendar. And that way, if nobody submits by March, then we'll extend it, of course. But I encourage everybody to try and do something. You can see the details on the paper here, and the application is right here as well. We'll have a more detailed financial analysis in February once we get the books closed. That's what Alvin was going to do tonight, so we'll get that at the February meeting. But generally speaking, we're doing pretty well for our club, especially a club our size. So that's good. And if you haven't joined up for this year, please join up. Get friends, relatives.
Thanks, Mike. Tomorrow night, right? Wood carvers? Wood carvers tomorrow night. And what we're trying to do with the wood carving is he wants to set it up once a week, okay? So those who are inexperienced can learn more. And we're going to try and keep this going. We don't know how it's going to work, how many people, I mean, whether we play poker or whether we don't, you know what I mean? It just, you know. It's, so we're going to try and run once a week. And I'm going to make him a spot in there. He can come, go, do. So if people want to learn how to carve, there's no charge. There's no charge for it. He's willing to share his knowledge. There's 3 great carvers in this group, or maybe even more than that, I don't know. I just happen to know 3 of them, okay? And, well, 4. I'm going to move him to another room because he's going to come once a week, and we'll have to get that room cleaned up just a little bit. So turning Monday. Turners on Monday, 7 o'clock. Be here, be square, do whatever. I'm going to set up things, not this Monday, but the Monday after this one, we're going to cut threads. The Monday after that one, we're going to cut round spears with a spear tool. Or is that what you call it? Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to try and get some different stuff going, and we're going to go through the basics each time we do it. So we do a little bit of sharpening, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then we go cut a thread here, cut a thread there. Don't worry, it's not going to be me because I really don't know how to do this stuff. I just got the tools, okay? Wood Art Expo, 9 to 4, 10th and 11th, Ponta Gorda.
There's going to be classes all day. There's 2 all-day classes. Wait, here, polish your head. Here. There's 2 all-day classes, one put on by a gentleman from New York who does whimsical tree houses out of birch bark. And Richard's doing a how to begin class in carving, and there's going to be somebody else. There's one lady doing all-day class in Santa Clauses, and another person, I'm not even sure what Jim O'Day's doing. But those classes will also be during that same time frame.
Now we have a presenter. He's got gray hair. Fell asleep. Probably where I'm gonna go. Yeah. This guy's a famous guy. He's an old guy right now. But in his younger days, he was very famous.
Yeah, that's enough. Thank you very much. Good evening. How are we all doing? Happy New Year to everybody. All right. Now, tonight, for a presentation, this is probably going to be a little different than you're used to. Let me first of all say as a disclaimer, I didn't ask to do this, and I didn't volunteer either. I was kind of pushed and shoved a little bit into this, and I won't say who, but his initials are Joe Mackey, so I'm just kidding. But anyway, glad to be here. We are going to do a little something a little bit different tonight. And what? Oh, I'm standing in the way. All right. Okay. So first of all, to start things off, let me tell you that, and I need to walk around. I'm just used to moving, and there's nothing to see right there to begin with. I love to build, and I think you do too. That's why we're all here. Yes. And I was, in putting this together, I was thinking about, well, when did I really start liking to build, or when did all this happen? And I kind of traced it back to, I was either 5 or 6 years old, and I got a set of Lincoln logs for Christmas. Anybody remember Lincoln logs? Yeah, really? I mean, weren't they fun? Great things to build with. And then a couple years later, I got Tinker Toys. And who had Tinker Toys? Yeah, I love Tinker Toys. All the things you could make with them. And then a couple years after that, as you get a little bit older, you're a little more advanced, I got an erector set. How many? Look at the hands go up. Fun, love that erector set. Then a couple of years so after that, I found out about girls. And, well, that's a whole other story. But anyway, my point being, I've been building since I was this high, and building has been something that I've done all my life, and it's helped me with everything that I've done all my life. As you'll see here as we go through this. I was 15 years old in junior high school, and we had an assignment to write a theme paper of what you would like to be for a career, what you'd like to do. And I immediately knew what I wanted to do. Some of you know, some of you don't. I come from a show business family. Proud to say I'm 4th generation to be in show business. Goes back to just right after the Civil War. So there's singers, actors, dancers, vaudevillians, comedians, all in my background. My father was a magician and an actor and comedian. So I saw this stuff from little on and fell in love with it also. So I knew I wanted to be a magician. Now my father's idea of doing magic and mine were totally different. He had the philosophy that you needed 2 suitcases full of apparatus and 1 table. You go out, do your show, tell some jokes, you're done, you go home. I, on the other hand, being a young kid and more vulnerable and naive, I wanted to be on stage. I had grandiose ideas. Big theater, lights, curtains, lots of dancing girls, all that kind of stuff. But the problem with that is you need big equipment for that. You have to have things that make people float in the air and saw ladies in half in big boxes, make exotic animals appear. That's kind of hard for a 15-year-old to come up with. So the best thing you could do is, in my case, was I started taking all the industrial arts classes in school. And because I was interested in that, I got good grades in it, and they allowed me to come in after school, and I started building some of this stuff. Now, some of it was pretty crude, but it was a good place to get started in doing that. So already back then, I was building on for a career. So quickly skipping through junior high school, went to college. Right after that, I did become a professional magician. I spent 34 years on the road as a magician, and when I say on the road, I was out at least 10 months a year. So it was a big, long job. But I enjoyed every minute of it. There's something about show business I want to tell you, though. In show business, when you finish a show and you get an audience that applauds for you and stands up, what they call a standing ovation, it does something inside. It's a very special feeling, and I don't know any other way to get it than to be on stage. And so you crave that. And even in the business, they have a term for it. They call that getting juice. And someone said, "Did you get juice tonight?" You know, yeah, I got good juice. The problem with that, though, however, is it's an intangible. You see, once the show is over with, once that audience leaves the theater, it's all gone. You have a remembrance of it, but it's gone. But if you build something, and you build something really nice, every time you look at it or somebody else looks at it and they get that, ask you questions, say, "How'd you do that? That's so great," you can get that same kind of feeling in you. So building has helped me to retain that over the years. So anyway, 34 years I was on the road, retired, had a home here in Florida, and we started selling off all the apparatus and equipment. After about a week or so, when people were calling, people were asking about a prop that I already sold. One guy called and said, "I'd like to buy your bamboozle box. How much is it?" And you'll see a picture of it in a minute so you know what that is. I said, "It's already sold." And the guy said, "Well, could you build me one?" And that's when the light bulb went out. You know what? I found out what I can do now. I can start a prop shop. I can stay here. I can build this stuff for other people to go on the road and build. Now, a prop shop is just a fancy word for a fabrication shop, but primarily we build things for the theater industry. So in my case, a lot of magic, illusions, and tricks, because that's what I was familiar with. And later on, we got into other things too. But that's how it all got started. So we end up with a prop shop. There we go. So first of all, to start off with, just prove I really did what I said I did. That's one of our publicity photos. In younger days, my wife is and assistant Bubbles is inside the box, and the leopard was my pet leopard. It's a spotted leopard. His name was Abra. He lived to be 14 years old. We had him from little tiny baby right up till he got him off his mother's milk, and I raised him, and he was in all of our shows. Anyway, next picture. This is my shop. It's on the back part of my property. I have 1.5 acres of property. It's a metal building. It's looks a little narrow there from what it really is, but it's about 2,000 square feet, and that's where we do all the construction in. Here's a picture of the woodworking room. It's like most of our woodworking rooms. It's got too much junk in it. But you never know what you're going to need, especially in my case. So nothing is scrap. You never know what you're going to need to build something with, so we hold on to everything. Typical, all the props, a table saw, radial arm saw, band saw, a couple of sanders, planers, joiners, that sort of thing. The next room behind it is, did I skip one? Nope. Yeah, there's another picture of the shop from another area. And then back here, this is the metals room. We do a lot of stuff with aluminum and sheet metal. You can see in the front here is a stomp shear for cutting sheet metal. Behind that's a pan brake, box and pan brake. Back in the dark corner back there is a machine lathe, 12 by 36. The blue doors open up to a small little room that's a paint shop. And more big tools back there for woodworking, for metalworking. And a couple of another area, oops, going too fast here. That's a lot of storage for the products that we make. It's also where we do a lot of the packing. So this is one of the first times we end up making. It's a little kid's trick called Forgetful Frosty. And it was a little frosty snowman about this high. It's a story that they tell for kids. The neighbor kid came by, took his head away, and crushed it. So now he doesn't have a head. You'll blow up a balloon, put it in its place, and when the magic words are said, the balloon pops and his head's back again. We made over 100 of those and sold them out in about 2 months. Not always did it go that fast, but that one sold real quick. This one here is another balloon type thing. It's a blue sword box, and it's a case that sits next to it. We build the cases also. They're a fiber case. And this one is kind of a comedy piece. You can take balloons and form them into, it looks like swords. And you get a volunteer to come up. They stand in the box, put the swords in. As you're putting it in, you're telling it's the rubber swords of death. And as it goes in, they're laughing because they're getting tickled. And it ends up, there's a Bello Knock. I don't know if you know him. He's a clown here in town. Pretty good name for himself. Works all over the world. And he's performing that trick. And so it ends up with the boy's middle disappearing. This is a bamboozle box. That's the one the guy wanted to buy that we already sold. A box to be able to saw, or a blade box it's called. The girl lays in this and 14 different blades go down, penetrating her body. That's what it looks like raw. We build flea circuses. Yes, Virginia, there is a Christmas, and yes, my friends, there are flea circuses, and we build them. There's one by a guy in England that makes them, and as far as I know, I'm the only one in the United States that builds these. But what this is you tell the story of fleas, and you actually have a box that has fleas in it that you take out with tweezers, and they perform all the circus things. So they make the trapeze move back and forth. You give them a bar, they walk across the high wire, they climb up on the ladder, the diving board moves up and down, and you pantomime, oh, look there, they're up in the air, doing a double somersault in a half-height position, coming down, 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 and when it hits the bucket down here, big splash of water comes out. So it's a mechanical device. But as a good entertaining person can sell that with some enthusiasm, and people just go nuts for it. I'm amazed when I watch somebody do it. These people are screaming and hollering like there's really fleas up there. You know, it's because they're good actors. In fact, we sold one of these to a university in Toronto, and they have a drama department, and they make every one of their drama students present this, because if you can do this, you're an actor, because you're taking something that isn't true and getting an audience to believe it, suspending their disbelief. So that's a flea circus. Another trick that we build is this one, the girl actually put a curtain around her after all the rings are put on from the bottom going up and locked in place, put the cloth over, pull the cloth away, and she's penetrated through the cloth. This was a show that we did for, I do some consulting work. This was in Las Vegas. And you can see the girl's feet in the bottom on the right-hand side. Her hands are on the right-hand side, her left head's on the top. So this is a whole routine where they were both fighting over the girl throughout the show. Had a little storyline to it. And they're pulling her head back and forth through this thing. So it was kind of a funny thing. Finally, they pull the head box off and take it to another table, put it down, and her head's inside that. So this is the Sawing the Lady in Half trick. And we were fortunate enough, I've done some work on Broadway as a consultant with magic tricks and illusions. And I don't have a lot of pictures of it because there's so many unions and regulations, you can't take any pictures. This was one that's a faux pas, and how I got it, I can't tell you, but we were rehearsing, this is Aladdin, show that's on Broadway right now. We rehearsed this show in Seattle, Washington, and I built a lot of the props for it. So the genie had just appeared. Over here is a chair that he appeared out of. It's not totally decorated yet in that. And there's Aladdin is sitting at the table over here. The table starts out just being a flat table with nothing on it. The genie's trying to get him, if you know the storyline, he's singing and telling him, he's trying to get him to use up his wishes. He says, I can do this for you, and I can do that for you. And he takes a cloth and puts it over the table, whips it away, and there's a whole big banquet that's on the table. And they said, if you don't like that, they bring out these two big boxes, which are big trunks. They tip them forward, lift the cover up. You can see they're empty inside. Bring them down, claps his hands. They open them up, and two pretty girls appear out of it. So that's one of the shows on Broadway that I worked on. When you have a prop shop, one of the first things I was taught by another man who owns a prop shop is he said, you never say no. No matter what they ask for, never say no. Because people call up and say, can you make me and it's way off the wall. But he said, as soon as you say no, they're going to call somebody else. And somebody else owns the prop shop is going to be hungrier than you are. And they're going to say, yeah, I can do that. Now, you may not be able to complete this, but at least if you don't say no to begin with, you can say, I think I got something in the files on that, or let me talk to a consultant, or let me get back to you with a price, and you can always jack the price up where they're not going to buy it. But anyway, you never say no. So, which is important because you have to sometimes stretch, because I don't know how to do some of these things that I take on as projects. So I really do have to rehearse or ask other people, do a lot of reading, and figure out how do I actually get that and make that work. And you'll understand a little bit more about that in a minute, because of some of the other things we had to do back here. But close to us right here, in fact about 45 minutes from where we are right now, is probably the largest prop shop in America. And you probably have never known it's here, and it's been here for 40 some years. And it's called Hagenbeck Wallace, which doesn't mean anything to you. It's the name of an old circus, but it actually is part of a compound for Feld Entertainment, which is up off of 301 in Palmetto. And if you go up there to Detweiler's, it's right across the street from there. Big complex. But it's a giant prop shop. They build all the props for Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey Circus. So all the floats, all the apparatus that they use, aerial riggings, all the things the clowns use, dog props, all that stuff gets built there. But besides that, they also produce and tour shows for Disney. Disney has an ice show. It's on the road all the time. And the name changes every couple of years. So it's been Disney on Ice, it's been Snoopy on Ice, it's been Frozen when the movie Frozen was out to coincide with the movie. They had another version of it that was Cars when they had the car movie out. And they also have stage shows. They do with Mickey's birthday party. They had another one, Mickey Goes Back to School, and they produced another one, Mickey's Magic Show. And these are shows that would like play at Van Wezel, performing arts type thing. Well, when they got around to Mickey's Magic Show, it was written by a producer in LA, and he sent the script, and also he had all these magic tricks built into the show. And he suggested a prop shop out in LA and one in Las Vegas to build all these props. Well, they looked at that, they weren't happy about it, but they got prices from them way out of line. They weren't going to pay this. So they called me up. They said, could you come up for a meeting? And I knew a couple of the people up there, went up there. They explained what was going on, what was happening with all this, and they said, would you help us to build the magic props? We need to have some shop drawings, and we'll pay you to be here to watch over our people to build them. So we built the whole show in like 4 weeks. They got a great shop up there, super people, very talented. It was good for them. They saved a lot of money by bringing me in to do that. It was good for me because I met a lot of these people. They became friends, and a lot of these people, a lot of these artists up there are hungry for work. So they were more than willing to work on my shop on weekends and nights, kind of moonlighting, if I got a big project, and it allowed me to take on more projects because I had people of real talent that could come in and do some of this stuff. So they had scenic painters and carpenters. One guy out there's a carver. You'll see more of him in a minute. And a draper and all these different people. So I got to see and get close to them. Also, I got introduced to some products that I never would have known about had I not been around that shop, that are kind of proprietary to Disney. And because it's a venture between Disney and Feld, I had to be an employee of both of those, which meant I had to go through a vetting process and sign up boilerplate of paperwork about this thick. And it's primarily about not revealing what you're doing and what you're working on. But then you become a Disney outsourced company, which I am now. So after about 2 weeks after working on the Disney show for Feld, I get a call from Broadway, and which is how I got started on Broadway then. They were just putting together, Disney has a division that's Broadway, Disney Broadway it's called. And it's all they do is Broadway shows. They were mounting Little Mermaid. And in the script, they have to bring out a conch shell. The conch shell is supposed to shoot smoke up, and then it speaks. And they didn't want to do this in the normal way with pyrotechnics, for the reason being that it's very expensive to do any kind of pyrotechnics or any kind of fire on Broadway. You need a special pyrotechnician as a stagehand who gets extra money, have to have a fireman on duty all the time. Their insurance goes way up. So they said, with the magic idea, can you do it without fire, without live fire? So right away I said, I think we can do that. I hadn't a clue in mind what to do, but now I'm obligated. But we sat around, I and another guy, and we kept tossing ideas back and forth. We came up with, they sent us the conch shell. We made a compressed air tank, and we actually had a button on it that ran to a little box that had powder in it. And we could aerate the powder, which shot up in the air, and with backlighting, it looks like smoke. The problem was then is to find something that wasn't slippery when it hit the floor, because you're talking about dancers, and they're on what they call a dance floor, which is real slick to begin with and real shiny black. So they couldn't slip. We ended up going through probably 60, 70 different chemicals. We finally found one that wasn't. So that's how I got on Broadway. So once I did that and it completed that, now I'm a hot shot on Broadway because I got them out of a problem for a lot less money. So then they started calling me for other things, which is how I got more work on Broadway. So it all kind of ties in. So you never want to say no, even if you're, like you said, the worst thing that can happen is give them some ridiculously high price, and then you can get out of it. But anyway, that's Broadway. Say what? Yes. And if you could find somebody else to do it, that'd be a great idea. When we were at Disney, at Feld Entertainment, they had a guy up there by the name of Ivan Saxby. He's a wonderful carver. I mean, this guy's expert. I've never seen anybody carve as well as he has. And he carved in a very special product that they call Disney foam. And this is a piece of Disney foam, as raw as it is. It's kind of dirty from being in the shop. We'll pass this around. You can look at it. It's it's harder than styrofoam to work with, and this is the basis of it. This is a piece that we started carving, and you can see it's been laminated a couple of different layers. This was going to be an egg for a project that we ended up going another route. The blue on here is a rubberized coating that we put on it so that it makes it less porous, that we can paint on top of it. So we'll pass these around, and this is what it can end up looking like when you get it finished. So you want to see these things. So that's called Disney foam. Say what? Yes, much easier to cut. There's one tool, primarily, like with most carving, you got to rip away all the parts you don't want. It's subtractive carving, and Bosch makes a tool that's primarily used for in clothes, where they make clothes, where they take a stack of cloth like this high and they run this around. It's like a jigsaw, but it's got a reciprocating blade, but it's got a back blade behind it, and we rough carve it with that. Then we go in with single edge razor blades and carve with those. You'd think as soft as this is, a blade would last you forever. Get 7, 8 cuts out of it, throw it away, because instead of cutting, it starts to rip. And then after that, you use sandpaper to sand it down. So that's it. So I got a call from ECP, Entertainment Cruise Productions. They're a company that produces specialty cruises on the high seas. So they'll rent out a great big cruise ship, the entire thing. They'll get rid of all the entertainment, and they bring their own thing on. So they'll do like a big music show, like they'll do all jazz. In this particular case, they're going to do all the music from the 80s. So it attracts people that grew up, that were teenagers and young adults in the 80s, and they want to hear all this stuff again. And they wanted some decor. So they said, do you have anything that floats? And right away I thought of this foam. I said, yeah, I do. Can you make us some things up? They wanted cassette tape. So we made a bunch of these up to float in the pool. So that started an association with them. The next year they came back to us, they said, that worked out so well, we want a giant radio, a boombox. So this is what it ended up being. I drew some pictures, sent them off to them, and this is the one they picked. That's me standing next to it outside the shop. That's actually on the cruise ship. And this is what it looks like. You get to your question. This is what it looks like in the shop. So building for on cruise ships, you have to build everything where it's relatively small, because they don't have big elevators. And the only way to get from floor to floor is with elevators. So they have big doorways to get in, but you can't get it up and down, so it's got to fit in the elevators. So this is actually 3 wooden boxes with that foam attached to the outside, and then we carved it. So on the back side, the 3 boxes are locked together. And Ivan helped me build some of that stuff. They also have Star Trek is one of their shows that they do. So they wanted a big giant Delta. Delta is the little emblem that they wear on their shirt, and they want a big one. These are all things that they put up so people can have photo ops with this stuff. And of course it has their branding and their name on it, so when they go back to show everybody, they can see things that they see where they were, what they did. They wanted to do Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. You couldn't get a phone booth on board ship, so we had to build one. So this is all out of plywood. It all breaks down with loose pin hinges, so it's all individual pieces. This is called a Horgaha. It's for Star Trek. One of the early editions of it, one of the planets they went to visit, it was a bunch of all real pretty girls in skimpy costumes, and they had a little doll that was called a Horgaha, and anybody that was close to it became amorous. So they said, can you make us one of those? And they're dealing with CBS. I mean, this is, it's all sanctioned stuff. CBS could not find the Horgaha to send me to copy. So from pictures, we made it. And they said, well, we want it a little bit bigger. I said, sure, how big you want it? 4 or 5 feet? They said, well, can you go any bigger? He said, how much more? I said, 8 feet. They said, 8 feet? I said, well, we make it 10. and say, okay, so that's 10 foot. So it's 3 pieces again. And this is more carving that we did for them, all out of that rubberized foam. They one year decided to have tiki glasses made as a souvenir. And so the artwork was already made, so we had to copy it onto these, which went around pillars in the main area of the ship. That's one as we just started carving. You can see how we just drew it out, and we're starting to, down the bottom, just notch some of the pieces out. Oddball things. They wanted a television set so that they could, again, for a photo op. This is it be raw before we finished it, and that's what it looks like finished. Now the guy in the middle is real. The other 2 Star Trek characters are cardboard cutouts. But you could stand in there, get your picture taken, and pretend that you were on Star Trek. Oddball things sometimes come up. They said, can you make us? And I said, yes. And so we did. So that is a about 5.5 foot tall operation game that actually works. They take it on all their cruises, and people just love to play it. We got big giant tongs, and you put it in there, and you get the buzz, same as you do. So yeah, just oddball, crazy things. Never saying no gets you into a lot of crazy situations. For the stage, they wanted these big aerosol cans, because the 80s all about graffiti. So the idea of having the aerosol cans on each side of the stage, each side of proscenium, with a band in between it, and we actually hooked up fog machines in there, so it shoots out fog out of the nozzles, as opposed to real paint. So that's some of the things we built. The picture you're seeing here, oftentimes people ask me, out of all the stuff you built in the shop, what's the biggest, the most elaborate, took the longest, and a whole list of ideas like that. One thing doesn't fall in all those categories, but one of the most unique things we ever built was this. That's the Iwo Jima monument. There's 2 guys staying there, so you can see a scope of the size of it. That went to a show in Branson, Missouri, Dave Hamner Theater. If you're ever there, it's still in. It's been in that show for about 11 years. It closes the show. They do a salute to all the veterans. And if you remember David Copperfield, years ago on television, he made a jet airplane appear. Well, this works the same way. It's an empty stage. They put a curtain up for a second, drop it, and this is there. And so it's a salute to all the veterans. And we carved that. Ivan helped me, did most of the work on it, I should say. And it took about 2 months of working nights and weekends, and how that came to be, and this is how Ivan works. To get things in proportion, you don't start with one big giant piece of foam. We carved heads first, and we got all the heads the same size, then carved hands. Hands are the most difficult things to carve. And once we got those in proportion, then you could figure out, well, if the hands here and the heads here, how much arm you have to have, so you could get the right perspective on it. And we built the first guy, second guy, third guy, and kept going that way. It was his concept. It worked wonderful. I like to say I can carve, but this guy's a master carver. And here's a picture of just what I was talking about, where the first guy's pretty much completed, and then we're working on the other ones. You can see how they come from squares and become lifelike, and they're about 7.5 foot tall. The picture here is a near and dear picture to me. The fellow you see in the forefront here, although both of these guys look like what Pat was talking about before, they could have a piece of cardboard and standing on the street corner. 2 of the most intelligent and artistic people I've ever been around in my life. A bit eccentric, oh yes, but really, really nice guys. And Ivan Saxby is the one in front. He lives here in Sarasota. The one behind him, he's passed on now. And he was the director of the Ringling Prop Shop when it first started in the 60s up until the 90s. And when I first met him, he was already retired from there, and I would have him do some things that I didn't feel comfortable building myself for my own show. And after about 2 or 3 years, when I took something over to him, he'd say, "I don't think I can do that anymore. You're going to have to help me." And it wasn't that he couldn't do it. He wanted me to help learn. And he told me one time, he said, "You're never going to be better than you are today. Your eye-hand coordination is never going to be better than it is right now. So if you're going to do this, now's the day to start. Don't wait till tomorrow. Do it today. You're never going to be better than you are right now." And So he's the one that kind of really got me started in thinking I could do some of this stuff, and give me the encouragement to maybe say, maybe I can take on more than I should. And I would call these guys up when I had problems, and they say, well, maybe try this or try that. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. Some of the projects we make money on, some of the projects we've lost money on, because I had to do them 2 or 3 times to get them right. But again, it's the idea of getting a product out on time to them and fulfilling that contract, and you'll get more work. So even if you lose today, you can make it up tomorrow, is kind of the concept. So I was going to do something earlier, and I forgot to do it. Maybe I can do it now. The smallest thing we ever built in the shop is this little thing here. This is called a snapper. I'm going to pass this out, and it's actually turned on a lathe. Can you get a good close-up of this? There, we got to switch back. Okay. Well, I can just show it to you. It's just turned on a lathe. You'll see it. The inside of it's been hollowed out. There's a little dull on this side, and there's a little notch that's been whittled into the edge of it. On the back side of this is a rubber band. The rest of the rubber band goes inside. The idea is to put these two things together and twist them around, and you can kind of feel in there. And if you get it hooked just right, now I'm trying to show this, I can't get it. There it is, there it is. If you get it just right, you pull it out, it'll snap it right back in. There it goes. Yeah, now I lost it again. But anyway, play with that. Try it a time or two, pass it on. If you get it, holler out, say, I got it. If you do figure it out, don't tell everybody else. When we finish, I will show everybody, but just don't yet for a moment, okay? I've got a few things up here that we made. I'm sorry if you thought you were going to see a magic show.
Pat lied to us.
Pat lied to you. I didn't. We did that once already. And what I did bring up here, it either doesn't have any, is magic, it either doesn't have the trick part in it, or you're not going to be able to see it or tell what it is. But anyway, you can look at some of this stuff. If you got questions, I can be happy to answer it for you. And I wanted to leave you with just a couple of thoughts and ideas on this stuff. This last picture, going the wrong way. Yeah, the last picture reminds me of when I was a kid and televisions would shut off about 12 o'clock, 12:30 at night, and they would always play the Star Spangled Banner, and this is a picture that they showed of Iwo Jima, which meant it was time for them to shut down. I think it's time you heard enough of me, so I'll do the same thing. But I want to leave you with just a couple ideas and notes. I'm not a master craftsman, never claimed to be, but with perseverance and a can-do attitude, along with some help from some great friends, I've been blessed to be able to build some very wonderful, whimsical things all my life that have either helped project me into the market I wanted to be in as a magician, or now with the prop shop afterwards. And I feel blessed because I'm one of these people that feel I've really never worked a day in my life because I've always did what I wanted to do. So I'm fortunate that way. And I do believe that if you do the same thing, if you will stretch yourself, if you see something out there, you go, that'd be great to build, but I don't think I'm capable of that. That's beyond me. Don't say that so quick. Think about it. Break it down into smaller parts. What does it really consist of? What's the finish? What's the wood? What tools do I need? And who can I ask for help? And think about it. Around you right now are people with hundreds, no, thousands of hours of shop time that have so much knowledge that are willing to share with all of us. All we got to do is ask. And if you do that, I think you'll be amazed at what you'll be able to produce, and you too will end up with that juice in here when you create something that nice. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Oh, did you want to see that? Any questions before I...
How about you sold this practice box?
There's some boxes up here you can come look at. I'll be up here during the break if you want to see something. Bring the snapper back and I'll show you what it is and how it works. I can tell you there's a trick to it, and I'm going to tell something on this one. And
I got it.
there you go. We got somebody. Tom got it. Okay.
Hey, the rubber band's right here. I know how to do it.
Let me tell you a quick story and I'll let you go then. We okay for time? Okay. I gave one of these to Marv one day. He was over at the shop, and I think, yeah, you got one too. And there's a trick to it, and I'll explain the trick in a minute. They took it home, and he's showing it to his grandkids. They can't get it, and it's driving them absolutely bonkers. And Marv's the same way with Barb. She's trying to do this, and he was so cruel. It was like 2 weeks, and she just gets so frantic because she couldn't do it. So what it is, it's a magic trick of sorts. The rubber band inside has nothing to do with connecting this. What you need to do is you take and pinch it with your fingers and squeeze it so that it just pushes it back. That's all there is to it. But if you don't know that, you'll drive somebody nuts all night long trying to figure out how to get that thing to hook. So anyway, it's up here if you want. Thanks again.
I gave this thing to my grandson. He went home and he worked on his mom. Then he went to his dad. And he went to his sister. He had an absolute ball with it.
That's something you can easily make. In fact, you could make those when on your turning night, and everybody could end up with one of them. There's
Marvin could duplicate them.
Well, it's too quick to duplicate. You just make probably faster than you can duplicate them. Anyway, that's what they are.
Break time. Stretch your legs. Have a brownie. Have a cookie. Thanks a lot, Ed.
Okay, thank you. I know we've all built something and had a lot of pieces of wood left over at the end, and many times it's expensive wood, so you don't want to throw it away. So you always try to figure out something that you can do with it. So that's what I've done here. What I've got are 2 1/4-inch dowels, 2 3/32 inch dowels, and 2 rubber O-rings. And I was able to make this out of them, and I'm quite proud of it.
What is it?
It's 2 dowels with 2, and it works really well. All you got to do is pinch it. All you got to do is pinch it, and it'll work real well. You know, it's been pretty popular. I've never had any trouble selling any of them because I've never tried. Let me just a minute. I like to make furniture and those kind of things, but I couldn't get my wife to bring those in. All I could do is get her to carry these. So what I've done is, if anybody would like the plans for these, I've got a preset of plans with materials list and hardware. If you would like a set, just write your email address on a $50 bill, and I might send it to you. Okay? I told you I've never had any trouble selling them. I can't even give these things away. So, I made one for everybody. They're actually 2 function. If you would just take one and pass it on. Not that one.
You sure not
Yeah,
that
no,
one?
go ahead. And just pass it on. Take one and pass it on. That's a good one. That was my favorite right there. Remember when I said take one and pass it
Yeah,
on? I'm not getting that point across.
No, I know.
Okay. Okay.
Let's go over.
Now, let's see. This is going to be a pop quiz. Take one and pass it on. Hey, am I a teacher
You're
or
good.
what?
You're
huh?
good at this.
I ought to give a
We're good
class
at
on this.
Yes.
Okay, when everybody gets one, just throw money. Well, like I say, I'm quite proud of them, and they're really a twofold thing. These are actually memory sticks, because after I tell you what they are, every time you use them, you're going to think of me. What was that idiot's name, anyway? Okay, I don't think I'll. Oh, hey, and the spelling's right too. That's great. I must have written. These really work. I'll tell you what, you're going to be so impressed. You're going to think of, that's the memory part. You'll think of me every time. Okay. What you do is you take this and you spread it apart just a little bit, and you put the end of your toothpaste tube in there. and you pull it through, and your toothpaste, you don't have to wind up your toothpaste. So hopefully 2 to 3 times a day you'll think of me.
Once a week.
Look, at least. I'm going to make one that shampoo thing too. Never mind. No, you wouldn't. Okay. Okay.
That's good.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you needed. That's all you needed.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Hey, can we have a round of applause? Thank you. John?
Just a simple little basket made a while back. Actually, not too long ago. But anyway, the interesting thing is in the bottom. The bottom is what we call a paint or acrylic paint pour. And this is done by taking acrylic paints, pouring them into a cup, and then in this case, I took the cup and tipped it over. Well, I tipped this over first and then did that. And did my paint pour on the bottom of the box or basket before I glued it to the bottom of the basket. And this is some of the practice pieces I did. This one I took and did a paint pour, and then I took one of the mixing sticks that I had, which are kind of look like tongue depressors, that the doctors used to use, and went around and said, oh, let's see what happens if I put some design on it, and that's what that one did. This one I did with, forgot about the camera. I did with a sharp pointed stick and just started making lines on it to see what would happen. And the rest of these I'll have around. Just plain, I didn't alter them anyway. I just was practicing actually the oral practice pieces. But I'll pass this around so you can get a good look at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bally.
About 4 months ago, I brought in a couple of edge grain cutting boards that were inlaid, one with a geisha and one with a dragon design. And I had made those cutting boards not because I wanted cutting boards, but because I needed to learn how to do what I needed to do, because my wife wanted a liquor cabinet that was oriental in flavor. So the cutting boards were practiced for the tops. This is one of the sides of the cabinet. It's not finished. I just put it together so I could bring it in tonight. The front corners are rounded. It will have a rounded base molding and a rounded molding up at the top. And they will have an inlaid top. There's a dragon on each side, right and left. And the doors will be, the doors are fairly large, 16 by 28 rectangles, and they have a 25-inch circle recessed in the doors, and those will be carved koi swimming in the circle in red rondus. So I got the dragons done, and just a lot of cleanup to do on those, and the koi starts tomorrow. This is Purple Heart. Yeah. Well, you know, when you first cut it, it looks more like the walnut than it looks like Purple Heart. It's brown, but as it oxidizes, it gets back its purple color. And I guess if you can find a point where you seal it from the oxygen, you'll probably be able to retain the color. That's my guess. I'm hoping.
It's spectacular.
Yeah. It came out pretty good. A lot of problems. lots of hard work, a lot of tries, a lot of mistakes. I excel at mistakes.
All right, very nice. Richard.
Brought in a walking stick. My wife's sister lives in Tennessee, and we were walking through the woods there and saw this interesting branch, or it was a tree growing, and they said it's an invasive species, so they said just break it down, cut it down, and so I took it out, but it had a vine going around it, so it created a pattern in there, and I really liked the way that looked. And then I tried carving on it, and it's not good for carving. So what I did is I added the top part, that's basswood, and the trick is to get it to a point where you can't tell where the basswood starts and this stick ends. And it's easy when you paint it, but other tricks, if you have a, unlike woods, you can put a copper ring in there or something, and to separate the two. But this one I was able to do that. But this is a walking stick for Florida.
Very nice. Mike.
All right. Golly. Let's see. How about that? Okay. So, made a walnut. She sent 2 handles. There we go. I put 2 handles. I still didn't know what I was making until I get up to Tampa and we round out where it fit on the stove. And then she says, "Well, that's a noodle board." I said, "Okay. Well, I'm from the swamps of Mayaca, and I know nothing." Whoops, sorry. I know nothing. The only boards we use is to cut our pots in the village. So this is what she got. She got a noodle board with those 2 Amazon handles on each side, and it fits on her, what do you call those stoves that don't burn? Induction stove. So it doesn't burn the wood, which I thought that
take a long time to heat up the wood.
Yeah, it takes a long time. I mean, even on high. So anyway, that was my first noodle board I ever made. I didn't know what I was making, but that's what a noodle board is.
We did a good job on your not knowing.
All right, I know. All right.
Tom?
This is one of the pieces of camphor that I got from Pat. This is a crotch piece, and hence all the flame that's in it. Nice little beautiful shape. I enjoy working with camphor because a lot of times you'll go and get that weird grain pattern that's in there, even if it doesn't have a crotch. So it shows on the other side, on the outside. So.
Nice, very nice. Only one piece today?
Only one.
Disappointed. PK? PK? Anybody know PK?
You can't figure that out or what?
PK, really? PK?
Letters?
Patty.
Too many letters. I mean, this little piece,
Speaking to the mic.
Speaking of the mic, this tree fell down next to my house, and just one of the limbs. This is butternut. Butternut. This is butternut, and it's white. Actually, what it is white walnut. Everybody calls it butternut. Tom's the one that called it butternut. So they call it butternut, but it's white walnut. Because I swore, and I've lived there for 35 years, that was a walnut tree. So I thought I had some real walnut when I cut it down, when it came down, and it's white.
Never seen it. We good?
I'm good. You good?
We're good.
Clap, clap, clap.
Randy.
Okay, everybody. I enjoy doing the segmented turning, and I made this little pot. It's made up of purple heart, yellow heart, padauk, and ash, and very fun to make. It's kind of interesting to design them too. So you got to figure out all of the rings and the order of the pieces and everything like that, and build them all up and make it. A comment: this is about my third one with purple heart, and the guy before me with this right here. The first one's already turning the purple heart brown, and it's about 2 years old. And my finish of choice on most of the things I do is polycrylic, which is a Mimwax product, and it really wasn't working for the purple heart. So what I tried on this one, which is a little different, I've used a marine spar varnish, okay, that has a real high UV component to it, hoping to keep the UV light away from the item so that the purple stays purple. The only thing I've noticed so far is that when you put it on, it changed the color of the wood to a little bit yellow cast. I don't know if that's good or bad, but the white parts of it were like pure white before I put the varnish on. And after I put the varnish on, they had kind of a yellowish tinge to them. Okay, amber, I guess would be another term, the spar varnish. So I've kind of maybe accomplished one task by not turning my purple or my padauk, brown, but then I created another problem with the whole thing going a little bit amber. So this was kind of an experiment. Okay, thank you very much.
Bill? Come on. Come on down, Bill. No running, Bill.
This is a piece that we want to thank Milton for. It's a piece of rosewood. It's totally hollowed out. This is turquoise imitation. It's an epoxy that I filled the voids with. And then this is the natural sapwood on that piece. It's quite a bit bigger when I started. It took 2 of us to get it up on the lathe. And then my chain fall that I have a trolley above my lathe to be able to move it around so that I could get it set the way I wanted. The top, can you hold that?
Yes, I can.
The top on threads. Again, if anybody's interested in threading, it's all here. You can take a look at it. That's African blackwood. It cuts beautiful threads. The little white is a little piece of hard maple, just to make a little design on the inside. The finish on it is lacquer. There's too much oil in rosewood to put, say, polyurethane on. Polyurethane just would never dry. But there's 7 coats of lacquer on here, and then it's buffed on the lathe. It's for sale if anybody's interested.
It might take you a little bit to put that out. Nice.
Good job, Bill.
Jerry, we're not done yet. What are you doing? This is showing out.
Oh, we got alligators.
Yeah, we got Jerry.
Oh, where is it? Oh, there it is. This started as just kind of I was playing around with designs for alligators, and then I decided that I would put them in a pond, and then I carved with bamboo the flowers. But I was telling some other guys this was my second try, because the first try was on a piece of butternut. It was a gorgeous piece of wood and had bark around the outside, and I was all excited. But it was possibly the 3rd or 4th glass of wine that got me in trouble, because when I poured the epoxy, I got a little impatient, and I poured gumbo. It it was clear, but it wouldn't. It was going to stay gumbo for the rest of its life, and so I had to pull it all apart, and then I found this piece. But
Very nice. Joe. Even more pieces.
I just started doing runs on samples for decorative surfaces, and these were some of the early ones for gilding. For they're acid washes, but they're also chemical patinations on them, and the possibilities are unlimited. So you can do a lot of different textures and colors or whatever, but it's mainly with Dutch leaf, silver leaf, and copper. But you can take and do washes on them and create different patterns and stuff. You can put them on panels, turnings. I mean, you can do them on whatever you want. So the possibilities are unlimited as to what you can start doing. But it's an introduction into gilding, and a lot of these are oil gilded. And then the process is they can use different chemicals to create different types of aging or whatever. You can do painting on them. You can do linens. A lot of these, what they were done is the chemicals were laid on a paper towel, and you can lay them on and they start creating random patterns. And it's sort of interesting because you can do painting, you can do whatever you want, you know, and you'll see them done on like I said, different decorative objects. So it ends up bringing in some different ways to incorporate these mediums into your woodwork and stuff. You can do them, something with the gold, you can put them on the interior of a box, say a small box, and when you open up the lid, it makes it look like it's a little treasure chest because it introduces light into the object. So if you have a wall cabinet, same concept. And it just, like I said, it starts bringing in things to where we can start manipulating, you know, your eyes, you know, to create movement in our work and just bring in little pieces of bling into what we're doing, you know, to work with the wood or, you know, whatever you're making. So.
Oh, very nice. And that does it for show and tell.
Okay, here we go. We're going to do the raffle first tonight. And Alvin's going to get somebody to pull the number, so get your red tickets out. And let's see who is the winner of the Craig Jig. Judy's going to pull. And we have a number. And the number is, look at your red ticket. Yeah, thank you. 931. Last three digits, 931. 931. Who won? No, it don't count. 931. Uh-oh. Ed's looking at his pocket. I better look in my pocket. 931. Yes! We got a winner.
Sent me out back. That was nice.
All right, very good. Here, you get the Craig Jig. 931. That's it. You are the winner. Okay, here we go. We're going to do the, before we pull the 50-50, we're going to raffle off some of these prizes here. So Alvin's going to stand by with the number, and I'm going to roll it. And the first one is going to be number 16. John Dvorak. Come on down. We have featherboard, measuring devices, really good calipers, and I think that's $1. No, it's just these 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Don't take my Coke. Okay, very good. Next number, 19. Don Allen. Don Allen, come on down. Whatever John didn't take, you take. There we go. All right. That goes as a set. Number 10. Joe Eddy.
Hello, Joe Eddy. Hello.
You're up. Yeah, wake up, wake up, wake up. Come on. Yeah. He disappeared.
You sure there's just water in that thing?
That was it. Okay. And now we got to do the 50-50. All right. 112. All right. We're going to shake this up. Who's going to pick it? You going to pick it? You're not going to pick it. Alvin, you got somebody to pick this one? All right. Get Sue to pick that one. All right. Uh-oh, we have a winner. The winner is
Kevin.
that a Kevin? You got better eyesight than I do. Keith. Keith.
How about Pat?
No.
Pat.
Keith. What's the last name?
Somebody doesn't write very well.
941-468-0757. New member. New member. Where'd you go? Boy, we threw him out real quick, didn't we? That's embarrassing.
Yeah, he left. So, we draw for him.
All right, here we go. Drum roll, please. 2 clubs.
So he gets nothing. That's what you get for leaving her.
Okay, and that shall conclude our prizes for tonight. Mr. Pat, it's up to you.
Thank you all for coming. It has been a great evening. It's good to see you all. The talent in this group is amazing. Those of you who make stuff, bring it. We want to see your talents. It's just absolutely amazing. There's a lot of talent. Thanks for all coming. It was a great evening. Have a great